Hi, I'm Bryn, and this is my entry to the 2016 NYX Face Awards. So to start off, I'm going to be using these tattoos, and I'm going to be putting them onto my shoulder. I'm going to dab those on with a wet cloth, and it gives kind of a cute bohemian look. So now I'm going to be priming my face just to get it ready for all the products that we're going to be putting it on it and rubbing that in everywhere. So I'm going to be using a very light coverage foundation for this look, and I'm going to be also dabbing that with a beauty blender into my skin. Now I'm going to be using my favorite concealer, and I'm going to be putting that under my eyes in a triangle fashion, and then again using my blender to blend that out into the skin. Now I'm going to be baking using just a translucent loose powder and just putting that under my eyes and letting it sit for like about 10 minutes. So while that is sitting, I'm going to be filling my brows. So I am filling my brows very roughly and very thickly, as I'm going to be an Amazonian princess, so I thought that she would have thicker eyebrows, so that is what I went for this look, but of course you can change that if you like. And then I just brushed off the extra powder that was on my face, and now we're going to be moving on to bronzer. So I'm just bronzing the whole outside of my face and my jawline, and then I'm going to be bronzing right underneath my cheekbones on both sides of my face. Make sure to blend that out so there are no harsh edges, and you can already see a difference. So now I'm going to be taking a very light colored blush and just blending that in to my cheeks and the top of my forehead and my nose to make sure everything's even. And now comes my favorite part, which is the highlight. So I thought that an Amazonian princess would have a nice bronze glow. So I'm just applying that on my cheekbones, my nose, my forehead, and my cupid's bow. Now I'm going to be priming my eyelids using my favorite eyeshadow primer and applying a very nude color to my lid. Next, I'm going in with a dark orange, burnt orange color in my crease, and then a brown over top of that. And I'm actually kind of over drawing my crease here. Next, I am just taking the eyeshadow and bringing it down to the bottom to balance everything out. And of course, you're going to need some glitter, so apply that to your inner corner and the top of your lid. I'm using a very thin eyeliner, and I'm going to be putting a wing on the end. Look at the flick of that wrist. So now I'm just going to curl my lashes and then apply my favorite mascara to my top and my bottom lashes to give the eyes some extra drama. For my lips, I'm just going to be applying a nude lip gloss, and that is it for part one of this look. So for part two, we're going to be adding some gore. So I am just outlining where I want the scratches to be with an eyeshadow or an eyeliner. I did this a couple times before I got it how I liked it, so don't be afraid to start over. So then I'm going to fill in the little holes that I made with orange face paint, and then I'm going to clean up the edges outside. Now I'm using the foundation that I used before to just go in between each of these, and then I'm re-outlining the scratches with a liquid eyeliner. Now using a really small brush, I'm using white and black paint to make little fur strokes for the tiger fur. Now just using a red face paint, I am adding some irritation to the outside of these scratches. And to make the cuts look more realistic, I'm going to be using some fake blood or scab gel, and I'm just dragging that across one side of each cut, and then I put a little bit of that all over my face. And that is it for my look. I really hope that you get me to the top 30 for the NYX Face Awards this year.